Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what part of the world that you're in. Terry Duperrin with Clean Harvest Nutrients here in our weekly Sunday Facebook Live. How's everybody doing? It's you can see here we got. I guess this is our second snow, but it's just a light snow. I thought I would still do this outside because being in nature is so, I don't know, to me anyways, and I think for a lot of people it's very comforting. And so I'm doing it. We're doing it in the outdoors with snow. Hopefully it doesn't impact the camera too much. So how's everybody doing? This is a big week with Thanksgiving here in the United States. And it's just like everywhere in the world, it's a very different Thanksgiving than what we've had in the past. I just heard that I think Toronto, Canada, is doing a 3-week lockdown just because things are so out of control with COVID. And it's bad here in Michigan too. So, all of our family stuff has been, the normal big family stuff has been canceled, until next year. So I'm wondering how people are doing. One of the things that we talked about last week was around composting and bringing in the dialogue of nonviolence with sustainability, and I'm thinking about that today with our own personal health and how are people doing. I know for me, I've like the last 3 days, I've woke up with a sense of dread almost, and got a lot going on in our family. We have 3 family members that are sick. One, it's a distant family member, but just passed this week, and a dog, and so it's. So I've been thinking, in the past I would really want to just try to change it or push it away, and so even this morning I just kind of laid in bed thinking about, well, how can I work with this in a way that doesn't push it away? And which is, in its own sense, an act of aggression towards ourselves because we're feeling something. So it's really important to at least listen, and especially with an intense emotion. And how can we do that with kindness and with openness and with an open heart? It's not easy. Our mind wants to rush in and change things and how we feel, because we feel, seems like we feel very threatened by how we feel rather than this is an emotion. So today we're talking about, and I'm going to talk about a book too. I just finished reading on gut health. So I'm going to talk about that. The book's called Mind the Gut by Sarah Span. She's out of Australia. Talks about her journey through celiac disease and how she's taken a holistic approach to her health. And it really ties into what's going on and how we're feeling. And I'll share about that in a few minutes. So, the goal is to be able to, oh, hey, Rini. Hello. Thank you so much for your prayers for my family. And yes, the snow is exquisite. I love the snow. Sometimes I go on hikes just in a snowstorm just because I love the snow. So thank you. Good morning to you too. So the holidays are a time of excitement and joy too, but also for a lot of people, a very uncomfortable, painful, lonely time. So I was thinking about how could we, what could we do in not trying to push away our feelings, or because when we push away our feelings, then our mind takes over, and then it's much more painful actually, even though with an open heart and the emotions are more intense sometimes, but there's also space for them. So And the other thing that too with working on is to, not necessarily take them so personal. We have feelings and emotions that come up, and that we're responsible to deal with them in a meaningful, loving, kind, nurturing way, because they're feelings that we're having, they're emotions that we're having. So yeah, how do we have our own sustainability in the space of that? A couple things that I was thinking about is just to put some perspective to it. I've been more of I'm more of an introvert, so I try to process things internally a lot. But with everything going on, it's really forced me to connect with others and my spiritual community and be more open and expressed about what's going on, because just the level of difficulty of it. And in that sense, it's turned out to be a major blessing, because I do feel connected to more people and more love. So that's certainly one way. One way is to ask, someone just to listen. And I know this is stuff that you already know, but it's just reminders. You just listen to me. I have a lot going on. I'd love to share it. You don't need to fix it. It's not your responsibility. I just want to share about it. But you could do other things too. How do you create your home to be a more loving and alive environment? You could put plants in your house, flowers in your house, cut flowers or your own potted plants. Cooking puts a really nice aroma in your home, and I find cooking to be very therapeutic for me too. It just gets me really grounded and centered, and do something kind for somebody. So many people are struggling and suffering right now. Maybe it's an email, maybe it's a text message, maybe it's dropping off a note at someone's door, and it could be from you or it could be anonymous, whatever seems right to you. But reach out and touch other people, and just so they know that they're cared for, especially if it's someone who's elderly in your community. I know we need to be really safe about it. I wrote a card to my teacher, and I literally wore gloves. He's almost 80 years old. I wore gloves and a mask when I wrote out his card, and I wiped down the card too. So these are things, just asking yourself, how do you get into your heart? What gets you into your heart? Because when we can get into our heart and shift out of our mind, our obsessive thinking, and the paralysis that comes with that, and anxiety that comes with that, how do you connect with your heart? What does that for you? It could be connecting with your grandchildren, or staying more connected to your children, even maybe letting your children in on more of what's going on with you, so that they can be a support to you. They want to support you too. And not dumping on them, of course, but letting them know that you're having a hard time, or that you're sad, or you're missing them. And so yeah, what opens your heart? And let's take a breath. Oh, just kind of settle into that for a minute. First thing that comes to my mind, because I'm looking at the snow in the background, is nature opens my heart. Physical exercise, moving my body. This morning I got out of bed and I just started doing some light yoga, because I know it helps me to get into a more loving, open space. And with that loving, open space comes wisdom. We have more access to our wisdom mind, and compassion, and less attachment, and more trusting the process, that this is showing up in your life for you. And yeah. The other thing too, of course, is the garden. That's a great place to spend time. Now here, you would think that the garden season is over. We're still in fall until like December 21. So there's a lot that can be done in the garden still. And actually, I was talking to a dear friend of mine yesterday, and he sent me a picture of him with harvesting his lettuce and yesterday. And he was really smart. Before it got cold here, he picked his tomatoes that were still growing, and he wrapped them up. And some of them made it, and some didn't. But they're eating them. They were eating them yesterday, which is pretty cool. And we're working on content. Him and I are masterminding on content to share with blogs on how to winterize your garden and prepare for next year. This is actually the best time to prepare for your garden for next year. And remember, if at all possible, don't dig up your garden. If you can do that, put leaves on it. They'll biodegrade right and provide nutrients into your soil. I wanted to share a little bit about this book because I found it to be insightful for me. I've had stomach issues, and actually my brother, that's what got him in the hospital is his stomach. It wasn't. It was not COVID. It provided some good insights, and I'm not a brand ambassador or anything for her. She doesn't even know that I'm doing this. But it's Mind the Gut, and how to heal your gut from the inside out. And she talks about the nutrition, the nutrition, emotions. And she has celiac disease, so her journey with celiac disease. I have to get a drink of water. Let me go in the house to grab some water. Whoops. Celiac disease, and I think she had IBS too, irritable bowel syndrome. Sorry about that. That's my dog barking. She wants my attention, of course. So, but one of the things she mentioned that really struck me was, and I read this recently in another book too, is how the gut is our second brain, and it's our defense mechanism for our body. And when we're in high anxiety or stress, our sympathetic nervous system is just continuously functioning, which stresses our stomach and the digestive process, and it actually blocks it from happening, and it blocks digestion from our from the food that we're eating. It blocks it from being digested. And then there's the sympathetic nervous system, which is when we're in a calm state. And what I never realized before, and just in reading her book, that in the parasympathetic nervous system, when that's present and functioning primarily, then it actually digests our food. Who would have thought? I didn't know that. So I know it's on Amazon. I bought her book on Amazon. And she posts a lot of stuff on Instagram too. That's how I came across her, was on Instagram. So yeah, and something that's a great time of the year to be thinking about our gut, because the harshest things for our gut is the heavy processed foods, sugar, carbs, and everybody's body's different. So I can't say that, but excessive carbs pretty consistently is not good for people. So this is a time to do that. So I'm wishing blessed Thanksgiving, especially if you're going to be alone, or which I know a lot of people are. I pray that you stay safe, and and keep yourself well. I think I've mentioned before that my daughter and I do the farmers markets on Saturdays, and I called them and said I'm not doing it anymore for a while, at least several weeks, because I don't want to put her at risk with everything going on with my family. I don't want to put them at risk to have to deal with the stress if I got COVID. Just that in and of itself is a very scary thing. My sister and brother-in-law have it, and my brother-in-law's he's elderly, and it's terrifying. So I don't want to put people through that stress. It's not just about me. It's about the pain that we put others through too, with our choices. So I'm sending you guys love. Thank you so much again for participating. Actually, doing these Facebook Lives is with you and being with you guys, and even doing the prep is actually it's a. If I'm being totally transparent, it's really soothing for me. It's very calming for me, even as an introvert. So it might be something for you to think about doing out there too, is maybe start doing some of your own Facebook Lives and communicating with people in your community and connecting with them, and that you'd be a source for them to connect with. So, yeah. So many blessings to you guys and to everyone. And I look forward to connecting with you next Sunday. Be well. Take good care of yourself. Be kind to yourself. And take care. Bye.